Hello, everyone. Thanks for joining us on another kid-free weekend. I'm Jeff.
I'm Jennifer.
We are back from San Diego Comic-Con.
Yes,
the last time we recorded was in our hotel room. We just did a quick little update.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
I know.
Are you sure?
I'm sure. That's where we were. Yeah. We
didn't
telling
even
people, hey, we're still around.
We didn't even do a podcast after Far From Home.
Spider-Man. We should do a Spider-Man podcast.
Mm-hmm.
We can do whatever we want. But we haven't been watching a ton of pop culture the last week, maybe the last 2 weeks. We watched some Walking Dead and Spider-Man Far From Home, but then the last week got somewhat consumed by the 2020 presidential Democratic debates, Part 2, subsections 1 and 2. We've been talking about so much at home. I thought we should catch up with our politics. We've talked to people about sort of broader issues and big picture and what they want the world to be like and how we all know that we need to stop Trump. But there's over 20 people trying to stop Trump. 20 of them were in this last debate.
Yeah, it's a little crazy. I'm sure everybody agrees. However,
yes,
they all have their own good qualities.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. I don't think there's anyone in those 20 that wouldn't be a better president than what we've got now.
Definitely not. They would be 99% better.
Yeah. So it's just a question of trying
100.
to figure out, like, who are you going to throw your support behind? Who am I? Who are you in the listening audience? You know, who do we care about the most and why? Who stands out and for what issues? So I did a little bit of work today.
Okay.
I spent some time going through the candidates' stated positions on things. Most of it was from a Rolling Stone article. They did a long write-up of all the candidates on a lot of different issues. I picked out a handful of issues that we deemed to be sort of the most immediately important. And I think once we whittle the field down, maybe we can dive deeper. But first the question is the field going to get whittled down? We don't know.
It better. Otherwise, we lose.
Well, look, I mean, the votes will come eventually. It would just be nice, like, if you have 20 people and everybody's getting some votes, you're not really going to... You might have a winner in terms of who got the highest percentage of votes, but you wouldn't have a plurality of, like, someone getting over 50% of those votes, or at least a large majority that says, like, this is clearly the person that most people want to run for president against Donald Trump. So we do need to get rid of a lot of people. I know. We can decide today if we think anyone should be on the chopping block or not, though it's not really up to us. But I don't know, like almost everybody had some standout moments in these debates. Even people that are polling way down, and the people that are at the bottom of the polls had to really fight hard to get some of their top talking points in on these debates to get some applause, so that they can get more donors. If they get more donors, then they can qualify for debate number 3, which I believe is at the end of September. And right now, I think only 7 or 8 people are currently qualified for that third debate by the DNC's rules.
Really?
So a lot of people have to step it up.
Okay.
Yeah.
Should we not? What rules?
Number of donors and amount. Number of individual donors and how much you've managed to raise.
That sucks.
Well, the amount sucks. But the number of donors means how many people are standing by you.
Yeah, but I mean...
Who have you donated
to? The number of donors.
Yes.
Well, I expect that a high number of those donors are going to be corporate.
Well, probably not.
Well, in one way or another.
A lot of these candidates are eschewing corporate donations, but not all of them. However, that's why the individual thing is important, because who cares if like 3M or something, they're a corporation, right? If 3M donates $5 to your campaign, that doesn't matter. It still puts them down as a donor. They believe in you. And since we have Citizens United that says corporations are people, then fine. Then they're one of the, 3 million people that you need backing you or whatever it is. I'm actually not sure what the numbers are for the next debate, but if they donate $5,000 to you, then there's still just one donor.
Okay. So it's just about the number.
I think that's the most important hurdle. I think there's a certain amount Or maybe it's what you're pulling at. Maybe it's number of donors. You know what? I'm just going to go ahead and look it up. Talk a little bit real quick, just to plug our other stuff. If on Pod of Thrones, what can they find there? Because we've had a busy 2 weeks on that feed.
Okay.
Just broadly. Stuff, a summary. Not everything.
Comic-Con stuff.
Yeah.
I don't know. What's on there? I looked. Hang on.
Okay.
You got your information yet?
Just about. Look, we've been very busy with San Diego Comic-Con stuff. We weren't paying a whole lot attention to like current events until these debates. So the reason for that was we saw so many good things. If you look up Pod of Thrones on your favorite podcast app, or even go to podofthrones.com for links to our feeds, you can find some interviews. We interviewed a few different people, someone from The Toys That Made Us, and an author who wrote an awesome sci-fi book called Alexander X, and Bruce Campbell. We were at a press conference with him, and the Impractical Jokers from True TV. We also have recordings of panels from Game of Thrones, because that's kind of our thing. Walking Dead, Fear the Walking Dead, Avengers Endgame, and more. We have a lot of stuff there on our Pod of Thrones podcast. All right, so anyway, the qualifications for the third debate are at least 130,000 individual contributors coming from at least 400 unique donors in 20 or more states. Unique donors. I guess that must be the individuals if they, I don't know, collectively group up. I'm not entirely sure what that means, to be perfectly honest. But the people currently qualifying are Joe Biden, Cory Booker, Pete Buttigieg, Kamala Harris, Amy Klobuchar, Beto O'Rourke, Bernie Sanders, and Elizabeth Warren. Huh. But so that's what, 8, 9.
Can you? Okay.
Yes.
Are you ready to start talking about these people?
Yeah.
Absolutely. You do want to do the chopping block now or later?
Well, I made a spreadsheet with all their info, and I organized it alphabetically. I
what
thought
a nerd
that might be fair.
You are a stupendous nerd.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I do it for you and for everybody listening, because I feel like the debates didn't do everybody justice. So first of all, why not? I didn't really care for how the debates, and it's both of them, the NBC and the CNN one, they did all this like super like random selection, did it lottery style, almost with like the ping pong balls and everything. They did all that, and then they organized people on stage where the people in the middle and the people that coincidentally got the most airtime were the people polling the highest right now. And the other guys on the outskirts were the shitty little bitty ones. So I figured let's just do alphabetical.
Okay.
Let's talk about them. You can tell me your thoughts. And I know there's a few of them. You get you, not just you, but we get our names confused. So for the purposes of our conversation, I did pull up some pictures.
Okay.
And just in case you're not sure who certain people are, because I'm going to say the name Michael Bennett. And what does that bring to mind? Do you know who I'm talking about? Here's the picture.
Oh, he's the dumb talker.
Okay.
He sounds not smart, and I know he is, because, he is
a senator.
Right. You got to kind of be. Senate. The way he speaks is so slow and like, okay.
Yes. I can't remember the name of that character from South Park, but
he's the principal.
People have made that comparison.
Yeah, I think he's the principal.
He has that big head and the tight tie around his neck.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Okay. So Michael Bennett, his voice is a little much, but let's talk about who he is. So he's a senator from Colorado, and his positions, I mean, what do we think of them? So here's what I was able to pull together. So the number one issue, just based on the debates, seems to be healthcare. That's a big one. People were debating that for hours.
Mm-hmm.
So he believes that we should take the Affordable Care Act as it is and expand it. He is calling his plan Medicare X.
Ooh, sexy.
Pretty sexy. So there'll be a public option where you can buy into the Medicare system. Anybody that doesn't want to buy into the Medicare system will still have the Affordable Care Act back in them. And one of his keynotes on Medicare X, and this is interesting, is to improve broadband internet to rural areas. Do you know why?
Because they are not getting all of the information that they need to get?
When I had my kidney stones last year, do you remember a time when I called a doctor over the internet to ask him his opinion on whether or not I should go to the emergency room for the pain I was in?
I thought you called him on the phone.
No, we were doing a video chat.
Oh.
But that's his plan, is to include telemedicine. Because you might not have many doctors nearby. So you might be able to get help faster if you were on the internet, and you would need good broadband service for that.
Okay.
Otherwise, if you're just on a phone call, you can't show the doctor like the oozing sore on your leg. You got to be able to really show him what's up.
Sure.
Or in my case, let him watch me writhe in pain as he's asking me pointless questions. My experience was not great. But anyway, I know it works for a lot of people. Okay. Immigration. The big statement that I found was he wants a pathway to citizenship for dreamers. The dreamers come up a lot. Do you know what we're talking about there?
People that were born here, but from illegal?
No, they were born not here, but they came over as children. And Obama had put in these protections under the DACA Act, but they've been called dreamers.
Dream.
Let's see. Wealth and corporations category. He wants to expand the child tax credit, and that's all I got. I don't have anything big in terms of how he's going to handle overall wealth inequality or taxes or anything. Abortion. Maybe this is not a category worth talking about much. I thought it was kind of a big deal, but he's up for protecting Roe versus Wade. Yay.
Good.
He's pro-choice. Climate change. He says net zero carbon emissions by 2050.
That seems like a long time.
It is a long time. He's not the only one. But his big plan is to invest in innovation, to use government money for R&D to try to find better ways to curb our emissions and improve our environment. I got nothing from him on gun control, education and family. Government can help reduce student debt, but his big thing is improving more apprenticeships and job training. So less about college and more about tangible skills.
Okay.
Not necessarily good or bad. It just is. And marijuana, legalize it. Yay. Those are the issues I picked up. So how do you feel about Michael Bennett now? Do you like him?
No.
Okay.
No, because we need somebody that is going to be super strong. And I just don't feel like his personality is strong enough.
Is it fair of us to frame things in the what happens when they're on stage with Donald Trump dynamic?
No, what I'm thinking is what happens when they have to go and talk to Putin or Kim Jong-un or any of the bad leaders out there.
Yeah. You don't think he can handle it? But what about Trump? Can he beat Trump in a debate? I mean, he'd have his facts down. He's very smart.
I was trying to remember Trump in debates. And I don't know how much I watched of that. I don't even remember because I hate him.
He just talks a lot of bullshit, and he needs someone who's not going to roll over on that, who's just going to call him a flat out liar. Hillary warned us on stage. She said, what he's saying is not going to come true. He's feeding you a bunch of lines, and please vote for me. But no one ever calls him a liar. I mean, it's finally starting now. We're getting it. Like, he's lied over 10,000 times since he took office. Like, we're getting there. But I hate how for years politicians and also the media, they're always like, and there were some myths, truths, or misleading statements. Just call them lies. I mean, just call people liars. It's okay if someone is just going out of their way to mislead people. Fuck them. You don't need to be that polite. That's what I think.
I think we've been polite long enough.
Michael Bennett did have a few good things to say, but he was hard to listen to. I feel bad saying that, but
you can change the way you talk if you really try. What's
your personal view on the healthcare debate? Where do you think we should be before I read you everybody else's?
Well, I don't know I don't know what it would take for everybody to have universal health care. I don't know the stats behind that or where the money would come from or how we would pay hospitals and doctors.
But do you think we should have universal health care?
Of course, yes.
ACA is not universal health care. It's everybody has to have coverage.
Right. Otherwise, you're fined.
And they got rid of the individual mandate. That was the one thing the Trump administration managed to do. So not everybody has to have healthcare anymore. But there's maybe a gateway to help get you a plan if you couldn't get a plan otherwise. Pre-existing conditions. At least that's still protected right now.
Right. Well,
how to pay for it is taxes. I mean, it is, and no one wants to say it on stage because they're going to be quoted out of context, which is another problem.
Well, here, it would be great if we could get back, if we could fine corporations that Trump has paid or let them get they don't have to pay taxes or whatever it is. Whatever money has been contributed to Trump's bad lies and the, taxes and all of that stuff. Mm-hmm. If we could just somehow get some of that back, we could pay for our fucking healthcare.
Well, the thing I think is key about Medicare for All is that if you take away all the money we currently spend on premiums and copays and then increase our taxes by a little bit less than that, we all win. Right.
That's a lot of money.
It's a lot of money. That's why the insurance companies make billions and billions of dollars every year. Each of them. There's many insurance companies that provide healthcare all across the country, and they're all making tons of money because they're doing it for profit. Mm-hmm. So if we did it not for profit, I feel like, yes, our tax bills would go up. And it's okay to say that because everything else would go down.
Right. You should not benefit from other people's illnesses or health problems.
Like it's one of these things, like capitalism has its moments, but not in every industry. Mm-hmm. And healthcare is one that's bugged me for a long time. And I don't understand people that just don't think that it should be universal. I think
because they think they're going to get shitty care.
Well, yeah, probably. They're more concerned about their own care than someone else's. I'm sure you're absolutely right. That's definitely part of it. But I still think there's a selfish argument to be made for it, which is you don't want everyone else around you being sick. And if it's like the lowest income people at McDonald's or Starbucks, you don't want them making your drink while they have an infection on their hand and they can't go see a doctor and they can't take time off because they don't have any PTO and they don't have health insurance. Like, you don't want that, right?
I don't know. I don't know.
Well, I'm glad you don't.
But, I don't know what country's doing it right. I'm sure there's a country out there that could help us and tell us how to do it.
There are a lot of countries that have
Sweden.
Yeah. I mean, you got countries all over Europe, of course, Canada. Some are better and some are worse in terms of wait times and, yada, yada. But
right. That's another thing I hear people worried about.
But there are statistic after statistic. Like, we pay too much and we get not good enough results. Some of us do okay. Some of us don't. You've had a lot of ups and downs with doctors.
Yes, I have.
I'd say I've had more good experiences than bad, but you've had a mixed bag. So, yeah. And sometimes you've been limited to what kind of care you can receive based on your insurance.
That's true.
I've seen it. Mm-hmm. I've seen it. That's not cool.
Right.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah.
I just, all of his talking points are fine. I don't disagree with any of them, I don't think, but he's just not strong enough for me.
Well, I think his stance on healthcare also isn't strong enough. I think it shows a little too much compromise, and it's not really what we need as a country. But speaking of that, the next person on our alphabetical list is Joe Biden. So we know he's former vice president, also a former senator. So his healthcare stance is almost the same as Michael Bennett's. Public option to buy in if you can't get healthcare anywhere else, and keep Obamacare going because he helped create Obamacare, being the Affordable Care Act. He helped create that, and he's sticking by it. Mm-hmm. So really almost no change, probably. Like, if you can't get anything else, you might be able to buy into Medicare, but you're still buying into it. It's still going to cost you, Medicare would cost all of us, but when everybody's paying in, it's just like the insurance companies. One person might cost a ton of money, but 20 other people won't cost much of anything. So it's still, the system works. If you just let a handful of people buy in, it's not going to make a big impact, good or bad, I don't think. Immigration, he doesn't have any strong stances that I see. He's, he wants to protect the dreamers, and that's about it. Now, wealth and corporations, my category there. The only thing I could really find about taxes and where things are going to go financially in a Biden presidency is he doesn't want to demonize billionaires. And he told them so. Mm-hmm. He told them, I need you, at some campaign fundraiser.
Wow.
That's all I got. That's all I got on him. is, I don't think we would see much change. And that's, I think, is a crucial point of Biden's campaign, is that he wants to sort of go back to the way things were going under Obama.
Right.
Which
Make America normal again.
Right. Exactly. Mana. Which wasn't all bad for Obama, but it wasn't great for everybody.
Well, I mean, Obama's hands were tied in a lot of ways.
True. Well, we do need to get the Senate. That's going to be important. Let's see. Abortion. Joe Biden, women's rights. He is currently trying to distance himself from the Hyde Amendment. Now, do you know what the Hyde Amendment is?
No.
I think they talked about it a couple times on the debate stage. So that was something that went into, it was an amendment to the budget plans or whatever from many, many years ago, and it's been renewed continuously, which says federal funds can't be used for abortions unless in cases of rape or incest, which means anything that receives public funding, let's say Planned Parenthood, can't help you get an abortion unless it's rape or incest.
So, I mean, are people actually, federal funds won't help pay for anything unless it's rape or incest.
Right. So, like, if you were to walk into a Planned Parenthood with cash and be like, I really need help, fine.
You can pay cash.
You could pay cash or whatever you do. Or if your insurance covers it, great. But if your insurance doesn't cover it and you don't have cash and you're on public assistance for your health needs, Medicaid, let's say, no federal funds can go towards your care unless there's rape or incest.
I didn't know that was even an option for the government to pay for it.
Oh, well, sure. If you qualify for,
I thought that was like a out-of-pocket automatic.
No. And some insurance plans will cover it, I think. But no, if you're on public assistance for your health care already, you might need that and you can't get it. Which is why, as it's been said, the Hyde Amendment, any restrictions on abortion primarily affect the poor and underprivileged. Because if you have money,
you can pay for it.
It could be illegal in the state you're living in. Like, there's rich people in Alabama where if they get pregnant, they'll just be like, well, I'll fly to Wisconsin or whatever. Like, they'll do what they need to do. Mm-hmm. But if you're poor,
you're stuck with a baby you can't afford.
Right. You can't afford it in the first place. And then no one wants to help you with that either because it's a handout. Bad stuff. So, but Joe voted for that back in the day whenever it was enacted. And now he's distancing himself from it. He's trying to evolve, which is good because he has a lot to evolve on. Climate change. He's also net zero carbon emissions by 2050. He wants to get back to the Paris Climate Agreement that Trump has gone away from. But that's
right.
Nothing major. But the Paris Climate Accords, worldwide effort to try to reduce carbon emissions. But it's a non-binding agreement. I feel like we need more. Now, Joe is a longtime gun control advocate. He is pro-background checks. He's anti-assault weapons. He is not a big fan of guns being pervasive in our society. So I like that. As we know from these debates, he used to be anti-busing. We're in education and family now, but he, again, says he's all for integration of schools now. Busing kids from, like, lower privileged neighborhoods into more privileged neighborhoods.
Okay, so does that mean we get buses back where we live?
Oh, probably not.
Yeah.
He has vowed to triple spending federal funds in low-income schools, and he wants to expand pre-K offerings for youngsters.
Okay.
I got nothing on college. Again, I think it's very status quo. And he is for legalization of marijuana, but only very recently, I think through maybe just a few years ago. He has a long history of being very harsh on drug use, including marijuana. But I think it was 2015 when he finally changed his view on that. It's good he changed his view. It's a shame it took so long.
Well, it took a lot of people a long time. There are many people out there that still don't want it to be legal.
Yeah. Sad people. Sad people that need to try a hit or two, right?
Well, it's people that need to be educated and believe in what science has said.
So what do you think of Joe?
I feel like he's a little too wishy-washy. I don't particularly I get that creepy feeling from him.
Well, I will take your word for that. As a woman, I don't get it. I don't feel that.
I feel like he was, I think, just not very adamant about anything.
Well, he was adamant about defending himself and the Obama legacy. But yeah, my thing with him is that there's not enough change coming. I want big changes. I want big sweeping changes. I want something different.
Well, that's how we got Trump.
Yeah, I know. I really do know. We got something different there, didn't we?
Yep.
All right. How about Cory Booker, senator from New Jersey?
I just don't. Go ahead.
Biden.
I'm sorry. Go.
No, if you have more to say about Biden, go for it.
No.
Okay. All right. Cory Booker. He is for Medicare for all. He wants to decriminalize what we would call illegal immigration. So just to be clear on what that means, because I think this is another one of those issues, nuance. Nuance is something lost in our political scheme in recent years. But the decriminalization of illegal crossings means not that we have open borders and not that anyone can just come in when they want to, just that if you come in and we catch you, we will return you to where you came from and process you accordingly, but we will not throw you in jail for it. Which includes, like, we will not, the justification for tearing these families apart and putting babies in cages was, well, they're criminals. You can't just let them keep their babies.
Really?
Yeah, basically.
I never heard that.
That's basically what it boils down to, was the Trump justification of, like, well, the Democrats wrote these laws and said it was illegal and you can't do this and this. So we're just following the law by taking these children away from their parents. That's what it's come down to. So that's why the decriminalization argument, which not many people are for in this field of candidates, is kind of important, because we can change the philosophy, right? Instead of handcuffing everybody and dragging them off, we can, maybe step towards dignity a little bit. Doesn't make it okay to just come over here.
Yeah, I mean, I think it should be okay to go fucking anywhere, honestly.
Well, you want to know who's in your country, don't you?
Well, yeah. I mean, you got to go through a process, but you should be able to move anywhere you want. This is not, this is not debate stuff. It's just, we're humans and we should be able to go anywhere we want. I get that they're coming from places that they're trying to get away from, but I don't know. I don't see what it's like in the cities where immigrants are going to, I guess. I feel like California is a big immigrant country and it's not a problem.
Right. Yeah. I mean, we've sort of proven just with our day-to-day existence that it's not destroying us. Having a lot of immigrants here, whether it's legal or illegal immigrants, there's a ton. And they are doing the jobs that Americans typically don't want to do. There's certainly a limit to that. If people kept coming over the border and they keep finding jobs and they're okay with their existence, they've gotten away from something bad. They've come over to America. Maybe they're working in a farm field or something and they're getting by and things are better. Why do we give a fuck? But then eventually, like, if millions and millions of people just swarmed us, then those jobs wouldn't be there for everybody, and they'd probably have to go back in droves as well because it's just not there anymore. But if the economy is supporting it, and there are jobs to be had, I'm okay with people coming over. We just want to know that they're here. That's my thing. Sure. It's okay to fill out a form or two. Fill out a form or two. That used to be policy. If farm workers would come over totally above board to do farm work from Mexico, stick around for a while, they can send money home, they can go home. It was a thing. It was okay. And that all changed once many years ago. Let's see. Cory Booker, his big economic plan is baby bonds. Baby bonds. That sounds so cute. Baby bonds. So if you're a baby born into a low income household, like I think it's $1,000 put into an account for you and then $2,000 every year after that or something like that. And when you're 18, you have a college fund. I don't know. Or they could just make college free. Or they could just make, right. Well, I hear you. But that's his big economic thing. I did find, his stance on abortion. He wants to establish a White House Office of Reproductive Freedom. To sort of take a bigger stab at the many issues going on around, because it's such a states' rights thing now, is that each state has its own little restrictions, like ways to poke at Roe v. Wade without actually going quite against it. So I think that would be interesting. Cory Booker is in favor of the Green New Deal and the Paris Climate Accords. So he wants the Green New Deal would be big sweeping changes. It's a big, bold, ambitious policy. Guns, universal background checks, mandatory licensing at a federal level. And he wants to regulate gun manufacturers and start keeping an eye on how much they're putting out there. He is in favor of debt-free education, but I don't have any detail on that. And he doesn't just want to legalize weed. He wants to expunge the records of people that have had weed convictions, which is nice.
That is nice.
I like that very much. All right, here's the next one. I don't think you're going to know when I say their name. Oh, wait. Well, what do we think of Cory Booker? Any opinions?
I don't feel like he's the right fit.
No?
No, and
Okay.
I feel like, I don't know. I just don't like his personality so much. He's kind of rubs me the wrong way.
All right. I like him. I think he has an interesting story coming from Newark and staying in Newark. I don't know if it's a political move or just his love of his neighborhood or a little bit of each, but the fact that he's in the Senate making, I'm sure, pretty good money.
And living in Newark.
Still living in a neighborhood that would probably be considered undesirable by most. But he's just trying to walk the walk and talk the talk. I don't know if that was always his plan before running for president, but I think it serves him well in terms of I think he gets a little respect for that. I'm sure it's not the most comfortable existence that he could have compared to his other peers. He's a neat guy. I mean, he's got a very positive message, a very positive outlook. I like him. I'd be happy to vote for him. He's not my favorite.
Right. Again, every single one of these people are so much smarter and have better morals than what we've got now.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. All right. So I'm going to shoot you a picture here. Steve Bullock. Do you know who that is?
Yes.
You do? So I don't need to show you the picture?
Show me. Oh, yeah. I don't like him.
This is the guy that really rankled Elizabeth Warren a couple times.
I don't like him at all.
First debate.
He seems like he's drunk.
Okay. Well,
he was speaking perfect English and I couldn't understand the things he was saying.
So he's confusing.
He's confusing, but also I couldn't understand what he was saying because I don't know. I don't like him.
He is the governor of Montana currently. And that has been a big deal because it's a red-ish state. And he is a blue guy. But is he very blue? He's not as blue as a lot. What he rankled Elizabeth Warren when we were just rewatching some of the final closing arguments of the debates, and he had this thing about nuclear weapons right before the end of the debates, and
she was like, "What the fuck are you talking about?"
The look on her face was priceless. But yeah, she was just saying like, if I'm president, America will declare we will never use nuclear weapons first.
Right.
We will never be the aggressor with a nuclear weapon. And he was like, I can't sign on to that.
Right. He's like, I'm not going to let anybody do anything to our country. If they've done something to our country, then I'm going to bomb them, which is pretty much what she said. Yeah. That's what she said. She was like,
it is, yeah.
Right. So
but he just doesn't want to say, I'll never use them first. And that exasperated the hell out of her, which was fun to watch.
Yeah.
He has no big plan that I found on healthcare. Just make it affordable and accessible. That means nothing. He had no big plan on immigration, protecting dreamers. That's about it. Wealth and corporations. Now he says rich people have too much. He is a major, one of his biggest platforms is campaign finance reform, which everybody pretty much is in favor of some campaign finance reform. But for him, it's a keynote thing. He wants to ban super PACs that raise all this money and you don't necessarily know where it came from. He wants to overturn Citizens United. That's a big part of his platform. I don't know how you do that since it's a Supreme Court ruling, but he wants to try. Like, these are the things that he's hanging his hat
What are
on.
Citizens United? What is that?
That's the corporations are people debate. Yeah. Abortion. He wants women to be able to make their own healthcare decisions. Yay. He wants to cut emissions and improve energy efficiency. Guns, universal background checks, and banning of large magazines. Education and family, the only thing I got is that in Montana, he froze college tuition for public institutions. So at least you'll know it won't keep rising and rising every year. So that's something. And I don't even have a position for him on weed. It's not like I wasn't trying. It's just not there that I saw in my research.
Right. They could only ask so many questions because they had so many people to get through.
Well, this was from me going on the internet.
Oh, okay.
It might be out there. I just didn't find it myself. All right. So Steve Bullock, you're giving him a thumbs down?
Yep. Yeah. Big thumbs down. I don't like him.
I didn't find him very likable.
Right. Yeah. And I didn't think he seemed like untrustworthy.
And a little abrasive, maybe. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
He reminded me of Justice Kavanaugh.
Now, wow. Ooh. But I don't disagree with you, unfortunately. Now, I would say if you're listening to this and you're a big Steve Bullock fan, you should tell us what we have wrong.
Yes, please.
thekidfreeweekend@gmail.com. You can reach Jennifer at KidFreeWeekend on Twitter or me at Pod of Thrones on Twitter. We are out there and we love to hear what other people have to say. So let us know. What are we missing about Steve Bullock that makes him an ideal candidate? I would love to know.
Where is he from?
Montana.
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm. There's not that many people in Montana.
Well, you know where else there's not that many people?
Wyoming.
To the country as a whole. One city called South Bend, Indiana.
Oh?
Mayor Pete Buttigieg is next on my alphabetical list. So he governs it's a major city, but compared to being a governor, let's say, or a senator in terms of how many people you're responsible for, it's relatively small. So Mayor Pete, what can you say about Mayor Pete? He's famous for being a mayor and having a funny last name. He's gay. He's a veteran. Saw combat, I think, or at least was in Afghanistan. He's a polyglot.
What's that?
He speaks many languages.
Huh. Self-taught
in some cases.
Poly what?
Polyglot. G-L-O-T.
Okay. I've never heard that before.
Really?
Never.
All right.
Polyglot.
And he's proud to be the youngest guy running for president right now.
How old is he?
37, I believe.
Okay.
So you have to be 35 to be president. So
no, I thought yeah. Wait. Yes.
So if he took office, I think he'd be 39 maybe when that happened, which would, I don't know if that would be our youngest president ever, but it's definitely near the bottom. Mm-hmm. Okay. So what does he believe in? He believes in Medicare for all who want it. That's his program.
So you can buy in if you want.
If you want to sign up for Medicare, you can sign up for Medicare. If you prefer your private insurance, you can stay on your private insurance. So he's straddling the line there. He has no super strong immigration stance. He believes corporations should pay their fair share, and they haven't for a very long time. He is for a $15 minimum wage. And he would consider conversations about a universal basic income, which is pretty much like that's Andrew Yang's big thing, is his $1,000 a month. Like that's universal basic income, which some countries have. How do you feel about $15 minimum wage?
Well, we have $15 minimum wage here in California.
No, we don't.
Yes, we do.
Since when?
I think we do. I could be wrong. If so, I will.
All right.
What do you think it is right now?
Well, I think federally it's like $7.25.
Right.
I think California is like 10 maybe.
Really?
I'll just Google that real quick while you tell us what you think about nationwide.
You can't get by $15 an hour. You can't get by on that.
Well, the California minimum wage is $12 an hour.
Oh, I thought it was more.
And it's still hard to get by on that.
Yeah, you can't get by. That's like high school wage. That's what high schoolers should be making at Jack in the Box.
Well, when I was working at McDonald's, it was $5 an hour, probably. Maybe $5.25.
Yeah, I feel like that's about what I started at Taco Bell.
Long time ago.
Mm-hmm.
Sad to say.
I think that our minimum wage needs to be exactly what it takes to live in wherever you're at.
Well, California's is so much higher than the national average for a reason.
Because everything's more expensive.
I think the biggest argument against $15 an hour is like, well, the guys at McDonald's don't deserve to make what I'm making. There was this guy, I'm not friends with him anymore on Facebook, but he was a Facebook friend, a guy I'd known for many years through some certain social circles. And his argument was that he was making $15 an hour as an EMT, saving lives.
Yeah, that sucks.
To which I say, that is very noble work. But don't you think you should be making more than $15 an hour where you're just kind of barely getting by and raising your daughter and all that?
What did he say?
He didn't quite get it. But the point of it is we start at $15 an hour for the people that are working at McDonald's and slinging your burgers. And hopefully those people don't have to work 2 or 3 jobs. God forbid if they have a kid or have any other additional expenses, they can put a roof over their head and relax in front of the TV at night, just like the rest of us do. Mm-hmm. But it sets that minimum bar. And then the people that are saving lives for a living could go up to $20 or $30 an hour. You just raise the level because everyone is just scraping by. We all need help except for a very select few.
Yeah. I mean, even people that are making a good amount of money are scraping by.
Yeah. It's very true. So let's see. Abortion. Pete is saying the government should support, women's reproductive needs. He's anti-Hyde Amendment. He supports the Green New Deal, and he would like to put a carbon tax and dividend into place.
What is that?
If companies are polluting by putting too much carbon out into the atmosphere, we will tax them, and then we will give that money back to the American people.
Yeah, right.
I don't know how much money that would generate, but I don't mind the idea of a carbon tax if it de-incentivizes corporations to pollute, but I just don't know that it's a strong enough move. I think we need to focus our attention in other areas. But maybe it's a good step in the equation. The Green New Deal has plenty of other stuff that it lays out. National gun license program. He's a veteran. He's used guns. He's anti-assault weapons, and he wants to make sure that guns stay out of people that are part of abusive relationships.
How do you do that?
If someone has gotten flagged, if you've had the police call on you because you were hitting your wife or girlfriend, you can't buy a gun.
Okay.
Yeah.
And
right now there are some places that have laws where if you've abused your spouse, you can't go buy a gun. But then there's a girlfriend loophole that a lot of politicians have been talking about too, which is if you're not married to them, then you're not red flagged in the system. So maybe just if you've been assaulting anybody, I would say you probably shouldn't be able to go buy a gun right after that. Now, Pete's thing about schooling is public service. Loan forgiveness in exchange for public service. I like that idea. I don't have any problem with that at all. In fact, I kind of think life expectancy is so much like, people talk about Social Security and how, 65 is a retirement age. Doesn't make any sense because people are living to be 90 and 100, and that wasn't how it was. It's okay to take a little bit longer growing up, don't you think? Like if you go to college and then spend a few years working for the government before you start your degreed career, that wouldn't be so bad, would it?
Could they possibly have that many government jobs that need filling?
Building roads, setting up solar cells.
I don't know.
Wind power turbines.
Okay, so say you go to college for your degree, which is in law. What is it?
Pre-law.
Pre-law.
You go to school for pre-law. Okay.
Okay, and then you have to go and pour tar on the road.
Or maybe you do
for
it first.
3 years.
Maybe you do your public service first. That might be a thing.
I don't know. It doesn't sound like a great plan.
Well, it's not the best, but I think it's okay.
It is okay. It is okay, I guess.
What about Israel? I'm sure it's not the only country, but Israel, you have mandatory service in the military. You have to serve. Everybody has to serve if you're at all able-bodied for a couple years. You just put your life on hold. You go into the military, you come out, you're in better shape than you used to be, and you know how to use a gun if the shit goes down. Or fly a plane or whatever it might be.
It's interesting, and it would be a huge change.
The Green New Deal comes with a federal jobs guarantee, which is if you can't find work anywhere else, we'll put you to work in exchange for money. It's a way to earn a living because there's always something to do. There's always potholes to fill, but it could be other things. It could be
file clerk.
What about federal daycare centers, right? You could set up so many new things if you had people that need to work, and
we wouldn't have a shortage of teachers anymore. Maybe. I don't know. I'm sure there's a lot of different things we could do, but building infrastructure and services is a big deal. There's a lot of stuff that's missing right now, a lot of gaps. How about this? You need a paycheck and you can't find a job in your given field. The DMV really has long lines. Oh my God, it's awful.
There, right? You could do all of that stuff with a federal jobs guarantee, and then loan forgiveness could be part of that. It could sort of go hand in hand.
Okay, but if they don't have the money if they don't have the money to pay to DMV employees now, where are they going to get money to pay for?
Well, it's federal funding. right now the DMV is state funding. So if there's a federal jobs guarantee, then the feds would have to pay for you to go out there and work. Now, in return of that, you're getting money from the government. You're probably going to go put that money back into the economy because you have a job and you can buy groceries and, you know, get a new outfit and stuff.
But here's the thing. I mean, all of these ideas that these people have are great in theory.
Yeah.
How are they going to get them? How are they going to get them passed? How are they going to get these bills passed? How are they? You have to be like Trump doesn't give a fuck. He just says something and then it either materializes or it goes away completely.
Right. And then he'll just say he never said it.
Yeah. How are you going to make all of this happen?
Well, for the most of the time, you know, there are a few things you can accomplish with executive orders, but most of it has to come through the legislature. It's up to the president and his cabinet to set the direction for the country, and then you have to rely on the legislature to make it happen.
Right.
Which you can't necessarily do, especially if Mitch McConnell is around, but hopefully he'll be beaten.
He broke his shoulder.
Good. I hope it hurt.
Yeah. I think that's what it was. Some kind of, he broke something.
He broke something? Good.
Now he's working from home now.
Oh, poor baby. Not everybody can do that.
Right.
Some people still have to go sling burgers and fries when their fucking shoulder's broken, or else they're going to get evicted. And that's the problem with Mitch McConnell. He doesn't get it, and he doesn't care. So Pete Buttigieg, Mayor Pete, how do you feel about him?
I feel like he's not strong enough either. I, again, am picturing them talking to these other countries, and I like him, but he seems like such a little boy.
He's too young? Too boyish in his face?
I guess so, yeah. Which is bad for me to say, but it's going to be rough.
Probably. I like Mayor Pete. I like him a lot. But, you know, I agree with you at least in policy terms. I don't know that I think his policies are strong enough. But, you know, Medicare for all, ... if you want it, is okay. It's better than half the other plans. At least it makes sure that everybody, like, the Affordable Care Act was supposed to guarantee that everybody has coverage. But not everybody could actually afford the coverage offered because it was still all going through profitable insurance companies. All of it.
We have family members that had to take it.
Yeah.
And they hated it.
And then some people, it saved their lives and they love it. It's a real grab bag. But if we just could get everyone on one standard of care, on one standard of provided services, like a coverage, one standard of coverage, that would be, I think, ideal. So I guess Mayor Pete, I think he's splitting the difference. He's trying to get us there eventually. Just like Obamacare, I think the goal was to get us used to the idea that everybody should be covered, but we can't go too far yet because there's too much resistance.
Right.
I think that's what we're looking at with
Mayor Pete. He wanted so much more for it.
Yeah. I like Mayor Pete, but he's not at my top. Now, how about Julian Castro? You sound like you turned down a little bit there.
Tell me what he likes.
Well, he's the former HUD secretary under Obama.
HUD.
Just so you know.
HUD sucks.
Housing and Urban Development. Well, it doesn't have to suck. Okay, so he is in favor of Medicare for all. He wants to abolish ICE completely, Immigration and Custom Enforcement, and decriminalize crossings, border crossings. So again, it's not to say we wouldn't have any border troops anymore. We wouldn't have anybody watching the border. It would just be a much different environment. And ICE, he sees it as being a polluted situation right now. So you got to just break it up and start over. He's in favor of taxing the wealthy, but I don't have any major details on that. Immigration being his keystone issue. He also wants to give Puerto Rico the right for statehood if they would so choose, which I think is great. It's kind of silly that they're not. Abortion, right to choose, climate change, Green New Deal, and he's in favor of the Paris Climate Accords, so he's kind of on track with all that stuff. He's generally anti-gun. Again, I have no major details. He is in favor of free public college, universal pre-K, and debt forgiveness for many. There's an income level there, but if you have a bunch of student debt, he would be in favor of forgiving it. And he is on the legalize and expunge category for marijuana. How do you feel about Julian Castro?
I feel all right. But
yes,
I don't know.
I love everything he says. I just wish he had a little more fire in his belly.
Right.
He's so
kind of soft.
He's so, I don't know, soft is the word I would use, but very even keel, perhaps. And that's presidential in some ways, but I want to see him,
passionate.
Fire up a crowd, right? And get people going. And I haven't seen that side of him yet. It might be there.
Yeah.
But if not for that, I mean, I think he's on the right side on almost every issue.
I wish Obama could run again. Or would run again. Wouldn't that be fun?
Well, Michelle could run, but she's not going to. She doesn't want any more of that bullshit.
Yeah.
And she has said so. Okay, how about Bill de Blasio?
He reminds me so much of
yes?
Al Gore.
Oh.
What did you think I was going to say?
Well, Bill de Blasio's positions, not at all. But physically, sort of his facial expressions and the way he kind of carries himself on stage, he reminds me a lot of my dad.
Really?
Well, my dad's like a little too old now. No, not just his face, but like his expression. So you're not going to find that right now. But there were certain ways that he was looking on stage in these the two debates that we've had so far where I'm like, ugh. And it's not a good thing. Like, ugh, he reminds me of my dad. And my dad is a staunch conservative, so it's not like they have anything else in common. But there was just something. But you say Al Gore, okay.
Mm-hmm. I say Al Gore.
He doesn't talk like Al Gore. And he doesn't talk like a New Yorker either. He has no accent, really, discernibly. So Bill's a conundrum. You know, he is like woefully at the bottom of the barrel in terms of approval rating as a mayor of New York City.
Really?
His own people do not like him at all.
Wow.
And we saw him get protested in the second debate. They were shouting, fire, whatever that guy's name is. Fuck that guy. The guy that put Eric Garner in a chokehold and killed him. Like, there were people protesting there in Detroit about ways they think he's mismanaging New York City. So I don't know. I think Bill de Blasio says almost all the right things. I'm just not sure if I can trust him.
He seems not very trustworthy.
People don't trust him. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And there are rumors like that he's mobbed up, but hey, so is Trump.
Mobbed up?
Yeah, like he's got sketchy connections. But he says he's for Medicare for all, immigration. His history is that he promoted New York City as a sanctuary city for people that needed somewhere to hide from the feds. So that's a plus. He wants to tax the rich. What was his website? Taxthehell or something.com.
Right, taxthehell.com.
For tax the hell out of the rich. He's in favor of $15 minimum wage. He wants to repeal the Hyde Amendment for abortion rights. He says that his plan as mayor of New York City is to get New York City carbon neutral by 2050 through a number of means. So I guess he probably feels he can do that for America as well. Guns. All he's really come out and said is common sense gun regulations, but no specific details. He has established universal pre-K in New York City. And he has established college loan debt forgiveness for disabled veterans. So that's a start. He did some stuff in New York City. He was successful with those things. Maybe he could translate them to.
But people don't like him.
But people don't like him.
Why? Because of
mishandling of other things. Yeah. I think a lot of fundraising controversies, like where his money comes from. And he wants to legalize marijuana, but no smoking in public and a 21-year-old minimum. How do you feel about that? Is that all right?
Yeah, that seems okay.
Do you think alcohol's at the right point with 21?
No.
Where should alcohol be?
Well,
60?
30 at least. Oh, yeah? I don't know. I feel like people are stupid up until they're like 34.
Well, that's true. People are not, your brain is not fully formed at 21.
Yeah, you're still like you think the earth revolves around you and you're not thinking about other people.
So what about marijuana? Much less destructive than alcohol.
It is. I think 21's good.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah. Alcohol is much worse.
Much, much worse in every way. But it sure does have a lot of money behind it. All right, so Bill de Blasio, we're kind of on him.
I don't like him.
I haven't spent enough time digging it. If he survives the third round of debates, I will dig into him deeper and I'll find all the reasons he's unpopular in New York. But for now, I just kind of, he reminds me of my dad. Not in a good way. All right, John Delaney.
Show me. What's he look like?
I knew you were going to say that. I have a picture.
Oh, is he the old guy?
No.
Okay.
No. He's not old. He's
him.
He's got the male pattern baldness and a big goofy grin.
Mm-hmm.
Initial thoughts? Or should we go through his policies?
He's not the man. That's my initial thought.
I think you're right about that. He's a former representative from Maryland. He is also a businessman that has made 60 some, like his net worth is in the 60 some $1 million range, something like that. And he's been funding a lot of his own campaign. He must have the donors or else he wouldn't be able to get up on this stage. Mm-hmm. But a lot of the money going into his campaign is his money.
Well, that's good. I like that.
Well, I mean, he's putting his money where his mouth is, but our proposal's good. So he is very middling. He's very like centrist. We want to beat Trump. Let's give the people what they want, which is going to be like just stable, no big ideas. Like that's the impression I get from John Delaney. But let's run through it real quick. Medicare for all, he says, is a bad policy. But he says he'll propose something that provides universal health care. He just hasn't said what that is yet. But he thinks Medicare for all will turn people off. Probably because of the tax increase that comes with it, or because they're afraid of losing their private insurance, all the stuff that's just fear-based. All right, he is in favor of a path to citizenship for immigrants who are here. That's about all I got there. Capital gains tax. He wants to level the playing field a little bit by capital gains being the money you make often from like stock trading and stuff. If you make a profit, that's capital gains tax. And it's not taxed at the same rate as income taxes. It's lower.
Okay.
He thinks that's unfair. I agree. He supports the funding of Planned Parenthood, which not a lot of other people have said much about, so that's good. Climate change, net zero by 2050. He wants to put in a carbon tax, and he wants to establish a Climate Corps national service program.
Climate Corps?
Yeah.
Wow, he wants to go to Middle Earth?
To give... no, I think it's just jobs for young people. No, not Corps, C-O-R-E.
Oh.
C-O-R-P-S. I was trying to think, like, where is she going?
Gotcha. Okay.
what core was there in Lord of the Rings? No, I think it would be jobs for young people, not teenagers necessarily, but like people out of high school.
Okay.
Just work on climate related stuff. So he's at least big into climate change. Background checks on guns. He wants a red flag law for abusers, ban assault weapons. Education. His only statement that I found was he would allow student debt to be discharged through bankruptcy, which it currently is not.
That sucks.
Yeah.
That's not
Declaring
cool.
bankruptcy is not
cool.
a good solution. No, not at all. And he wants to legalize marijuana and also tax it because there's a lot of money to be made there, which I agree with. But he's been very combative about healthcare, and he hasn't offered any real alternatives. And that bugs me about him, and I don't think he's going to make it much farther in this campaign.
Okay.
Yeah. You like him?
No.
No? Okay. Well, let's move on then. I think you like this one. Tulsi Gabbard.
I kind of like her.
You told me you like her.
She's very strong, but it's awful for me to say. I don't feel like she would be as, let's just hear about her.
Okay. Well, come back to that then, I guess.
Okay.
She is a current representative from Hawaii, or Hawaii, as she says. She is also a veteran. That's one of her big things. She is in favor of Medicare for all, but she does not want to dismantle private insurance institutions, so you can keep your private insurance if you want. I have no major position for her on immigration. She wants to get rid of Trump's tax cuts to the wealthy and put things back the way they were. She used to be anti-choice, anti-abortion. But she has changed her tune in recent years. So we got that. I'd rather have someone who was on the right side all along, but she is saying she's on the right side now.
Sure.
She thinks we can have 100% renewable energy by 2035. That is her pledge.
Better.
She wants to ban assault weapons and large magazines. Again, from a veteran, someone who has been trained in this stuff. I love it when they come out and say, people do not need assault rifles at home. They don't need machine guns at home. They don't need to be able to clear a nightclub of 50 people.
Or Walmart.
Or a Walmart. Or, oh God.
I don't know what the guy was using.
The shootings just in this last week, there's been 3 of them. It's fucked up.
Yeah.
We don't have time for that. She likes Bernie's education plan, which is free college for all. So she's very liberal there, and she wants to legalize marijuana. So I feel like she's all right.
I feel like she's all right also, and I did like her before. This debate left me, I don't know why, but I didn't like her as much.
Okay.
I don't know.
If she gets through debate 3, then I'll dig a little deeper on her. We talked, I don't know, we must have talked about it not on the podcast, but she has this weird background with like being very in favor of Assad, the dictator in Syria, and calling his opposition terrorists and just like sneaking over there on fact-finding missions to hang out with him.
I don't like that.
It's a little bit weird, but I don't know all of the story.
I don't like that at all.
She carries that controversy with her, and it definitely taints her because I like what she says. But every time I see her talking, I'm like, she's the weird one that kind of likes this dictator in Syria. And I don't understand that. She also had sort of a sketchy past with LGBT issues, but again, she's come around and is now in favor of equal civil rights for all.
Her answers, when she answers are, I mean, they're always very good.
Mm-hmm. Very measured.
Very measured.
She's a great speaker.
Mm-hmm. That's what I was thinking.
That she's a great speaker?
No, that her answers are very... it's almost like they're scripted, but they can't be scripted.
Well, some of them are definitely scripted. They practice this stuff in advance. Like they know what the questions are going to be. Pieces ready to go. We're like, I will find a place to weave in this part about why Joe Biden's an asshole for this thing and this thing. Right. Like they have that ready to go. But like Steve Bullock, like he didn't have shit scripted. He was fumbling all over his own words half the fucking times he opened his mouth. All right. So Tulsi Gabbard, we kind of like her.
Maybe don't trust her.
Don't totally trust her. Kirsten Gillibrand.
She's an interesting one.
I like her. You like her?
I like her. I like everything she says, but again, I don't know that she's strong enough to stand up to the challenges that the next president's going to have to face. Restructuring and rebuilding our government is what we need.
The president does not exist on an island. They have a whole bunch of helpers.
I know.
They set policy and they give speeches. And they
sign
know. Things, so
that's why these fucking talks don't really matter.
Well, it's the setting of direction is important. So she is a current senator from New York. She's in favor of Medicare for all. She wants to secure the borders, but she wants to take away the policies and people and making everything so racist and cruel. She wants to get rid of that. She wants to put a tax on financial transactions, like the buying and selling of stocks and things like that, to improve our overall economic outlook. And she is in favor of $15 per hour as a minimum wage. She wants to end the Hyde Amendment. She's pro Roe versus Wade, of course. She's in favor of the Green New Deal. She's in favor of background checks and banning assault weapons. But she used to be very pro-gun. She has changed her stance over the years. She has evolved. And she comes from an area and she said this few times, that she comes from a red area.
Right. And she's won everything she could possibly win.
Once she got in, she keeps winning, and yeah.
Win.
She's managed to find common ground between the red and the blue, which isn't a bad thing. She's in favor of universal pre-K and paid family leave. Another thing that a lot of countries with happier people and better functioning societies have, that we do not have.
We don't have paid family leave?
Well, various companies do. Well, like there's like the FMLA, like the Family Leave Act, which says you can
guarantees
get like 60% of your pay and for various circumstances. But this is like, you have a baby, you get 6 months off. You just do. And the federal government will make sure that you get the money you need.
Well, I mean, you get 6 weeks off now.
Wouldn't 6 months be better?
Yeah, of course. I mean, fuck.
Some countries do a full year.
Yeah.
Yeah. And she says we're okay to legalize marijuana. I think she's on the right track.
Yes, she seems
what she has to say.
Right. I did not dislike anything she said.
Awesome. All right. Well, way to go, Kirsten.
I don't like her name.
Kirsten? Yeah.
Kirsten.
Kirsten. Kamala Harris. She's strong. You like her?
No.
Really? Okay. She's a current senator from our state, California. She used to be our attorney general or lead prosecutor or whatever that's called. All right. Well, let's go through her policies and tell me what you don't like about her. She is in favor of Medicare for all, but phasing it in over 10 years. She is not in favor of eliminating private insurance. She would consider scrapping ICE. She's pro-Dreamers. They're all pro-Dreamers. Tax cuts for lower income. She didn't say anything yet about taxing higher income or corporations that I've seen. Again, if I'm wrong, tell me. She wants to repeal the Hyde Amendment and she wants to put in federal legislation to stop states from being so restrictive on abortions, to really codify it better. She is a co-sponsor of the Green New Deal. She is in favor of universal background checks, anti-assault weapons, anti-abusers, free college for most. There's an income barrier, so not everybody gets it. But free college for most people and debt forgiveness if you start a business in certain areas. She's in favor of universal pre-K and paid parental leave. And she would like to legalize marijuana. She's a fan of the ganj.
But she was not before.
Did she say she wasn't before?
No, other people did.
Oh, well, maybe when she was a prosecutor and sent people to prison or something.
Right.
Is it one of those things?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, you kind of...
it was the law.
Right. It was the law.
She didn't have much choice. She couldn't not.
Enforce it. And as prosecutor, you also only have control over the cases that come across your desk. Like, Mayor Pete said that he was busted in college. He got caught with a joint once. And they took his joint away and left him alone. Whereas other people would get handcuffed and thrown in the back of a police car. And that often delineates on color of your skin.
Right.
So Kamala as prosecutor may feel like the law needs to be upheld, but she can only deal with the people that are arrested in the first place. It's kind of a shitty bag.
Yeah.
Yeah. So better to just legalize it because it's the only fair way to go. So you don't like her?
I don't like her because she's not very likable. She's like a constant bitch. That's the only thing I don't like about her. And we kind of need that. But again, I want to like her. I don't. Right now, she's just bitchy.
She has a fun side. I mean, maybe not in the debates. Maybe you need to watch some other interviews with her. She can be fun. She can be cool.
Can she?
Yeah.
I don't know if I want him to, or our president to be fun or cool.
You should look up her spots on The Daily Show. She was very laid back and had a lot of positive stuff to say and could smile and laugh, but she wasn't smiling and laughing up on these stages.
She was pissed off all the time.
Well, yeah, for good reasons, I think, mostly.
I don't like how they're attacking each other. She did a lot of attacking too.
It's getting worse.
It is.
It wasn't as bad in the first debate, but she made big tracks in the first debate by hitting Biden hard. And now everybody wants a piece of him and a little bit of each other too.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I do think that I think Trump would not do well in a debate against her because he doesn't really know how to talk to women in the first place.
And she will ask the hard questions and stick to it.
More than anybody else, she will have her research down pat.
Yeah.
She will know her shit before she goes into a debate with him.
That would be fun to watch.
It would be so entertaining. It might not change anyone's minds. I don't know. But it probably wouldn't change pro-Trump, the hardcore Trump people's minds. But it might sway people that weren't interested in anything. It might sway people to be like, oh, she just kicked his ass. We should go vote for her and make sure we're registered. Maybe.
I find it interesting that any African American would ever be on Trump's side. Yet today I was watching him in a speech and there was a black woman with her two boys just laughing and smiling. And I was like, what the fuck?
People are crazy, man. He has quite a few supporters that are people of color, not majorities in any section that I know of, but
well, yeah, I mean, there's what's his name? P. Diddy? No.
P. Diddy?
Yeah.
Oh, you're thinking of Kanye.
Kanye.
Yeah, Kanye really was into him.
Weird. I'm glad he's not.
He's staying out of it now.
Yeah.
But he may still be pro-Trump. He's just staying out of it.
Being quiet.
Yeah. Which is better.
Yeah.
Definitely better. All right, let's move on to, we're an hour already. John Hickenlooper. There's his picture because I know you don't know who he is.
I don't like him.
Okay.
He's too old. He sounds like a doofus.
Too old. He is not the oldest man running, so I hope you won't hold that against everybody. He is the former governor of Colorado. So let's see what he's in for. He is up for universal health care, but not Medicare for all. Again, I have no details on what his plan really would be. He wants to give visas to illegal immigrants who are here already and not causing trouble. But if you break the law, and especially violent crimes, you should be deported. But he at least wants to give a legal standing to the people that are here now.
I kind of agree with that.
Let's see. He has proposals to look at breaking up some of the big tech companies. He wants to increase capital gains taxes to get some money again out of the big companies and the richest people. He wants to subsidize contraception methods. That's his stand. That's the one stance I found for him on abortion, was to make sure there's federal funds available for people that don't want to have babies but can't afford contraception. Climate change is a high priority for him, but I don't have a lot of detail. He's in favor of universal background checks, national gun licensing, a 21-year-old minimum for buying a gun, and banning large magazines.
Well, I mean, that's all good.
Yeah.
But he still sounds
21,
like a doofus.
21, if it's for drinking and possibly for marijuana, why not guns? I mean, do you need a gun at 18?
No.
Again,
you
your
should
brain's
not
not
have
fully
a gun.
formed. You're
Right.
not making good decisions. Let's see. He's in for free community college, but just community college. He wants to decrease loan interest rates for everybody that has debt, and will forgive people that are in debt, but go into work. Oh, it's a complicated thing. Basically, if there are jobs in rural areas that need people and you fill those slots, you can get your debt forgiven. It's complicated, but it's a thing. And he used to be opposed to legalize marijuana, but Colorado said otherwise. He was governor when they legalized marijuana, and he respected their wishes and has embraced the idea. But he was not in favor of legalizing marijuana back then.
Okay. I don't like him.
No clear stance on right now. You don't like him.
I don't like him. I'm not one bit.
Yeah. I mean, he doesn't excite me. I don't think he's not the guy.
He's not the guy. He doesn't have that it factor.
So how about Jay Inslee? You need a picture of that one? Yeah. I think he's the last one.
No, I like this guy. He
You like
reminds
Jay
me of
Inslee?
Superman. He reminds me of... Doesn't he usually wear glasses? No, that's not
I
who.
don't think so.
That's not who.
That's not who you're thinking. He doesn't remind you of Superman?
No. Let me see
Okay,
closer. Let me see a picture.
Of Jay Inslee?
Huh.
Okay. I had just closed it, but there we go.
No, he was wearing glasses.
Well, I don't
Isn't that
fucking know.
him?
I mean, maybe.
I'll look it up
He's
myself.
got a square jaw like a Superman, I guess, but he's much older. So he is the current governor of Washington State. His biggest thing is climate change. But first, healthcare. He did expand Medicaid while he was in Washington to get more people covered. I don't have any big statements for him on Medicare for all. He thinks we should welcome more refugees into the country, really help people out, do the right thing as Americans. He would like to tax higher taxes for capital gains, and he also wants to incorporate taxes for software as a service. Does that mean anything to you?
No.
Just because I work in tech, software as a service would be something like, it just happened. Like, Microsoft Office, right? Microsoft Office used to be a piece of software that you could just buy. And now it's software as a service, Office 365. You pay an annual fee to use it. It's never yours. You never own it, but you get to use it. It's now considered to be a service that is being provided to you rather than just a piece of software that you can buy a license for.
Okay.
So he wants to tax that kind of stuff. It is the latest craze in the tech industry.
Because it's not being taxed.
Because you can get more money on it. Well, I'm sure something's taxed somewhere. Well, maybe not. Fucking corporations. I don't know. But he would like to incorporate a tax for that specifically. I guess
that would be a lot of money.
As a consumer protection. And he is in favor of a higher minimum wage, but I don't have any specific number. In Washington, as governor, all insurance plans are now required to cover abortions. So that's nice. He is for climate change. It's his big platform. 100% clean energy. He wants to also make a climate conservation corps for youth work.
Middle Earth.
Yeah, and he's going to get off of fossil fuels completely. That we are done with fossil fuels if we have Jay Inslee as governor. As president. In Washington, he signed bills that banned 3D printed guns. So he's got that as a stance. That's a thing now. People are 3D printing guns.
It seems, I've seen some 3D prints, and they seem pretty shoddy.
Well, you can print with metal now. Like, you can print with a lot of different materials. But these guns, they work. They might not work forever, but they work, and they're not registered or traceable at all. So people call them like ghost guns or something like that.
Huh. They're like pipe guns in Fallout.
In Fallout, yeah. Just homemade shit. Let's see. In Washington State, he also taxed tech companies, big tech companies there, because there are many, to help pay for free public college for people in Washington. And he helped legalize marijuana in Washington, and he thinks that we should legalize it everywhere. So he's not a bad guy at all.
No, he seems pretty good.
And you think he looks like Superman?
A little bit. I don't know. He just kind of reminds me of that. The only thing is that he might be too soft or too... I don't know. I
can't wait to find out who you think is hard enough to be president.
He's kind of he's up there in my top tier of people. I think
that's cool. I mean, I like him. I wish I knew more about his healthcare stance, but I like that climate change is his big platform, because that is, as they said over and over again, it's our existential crisis. Like,
what was his date for?
He doesn't even have one. He's just saying we're going to get on to 100% clean energy. Like, he's not interested in the carbon neutral stuff, because that's still, we're spitting out pollutants, but like, we're planting more trees and shit. He just wants to go all clean, all solar, all wind, stuff.
Why not?
Kill us. Why not? Right.
Why not?
Big ideas. So that's a good thing with Jay. I'm asking for candidates that have big ideas and big proposals, and he's got one. So
if every single state did that, all of those people that don't have jobs now would have jobs. Most of them.
There's a lot of jobs. Right. There's a lot of jobs to be had there. Again, if you want to provide government jobs to give people something to work for, instead of like, I don't like the word handouts, but that's something Republicans use a lot, right? It's no more government handouts. Well, put people to work. There's shit that needs to be done.
All of those coal workers that are out of work.
Right. Have them build windmills.
Right.
Except windmills give you cancer. But, there's problems with the Republican platform. But he's all about the clean energy. He wants to save the planet.
I like him.
He's not a bad guy. How about Amy Klobuchar?
I like her too.
She's considered to be a strong personality. So maybe you think she's a hard enough lady to take down Putin or whatever.
I hope so.
You hope so. All right. Well, she is a senator from Minnesota.
Minnesota.
She would like to expand Obamacare and incorporate a public option, but she is not in favor of universal health care. I can't talk like that forever. She does have platforms where she would like to boost mental health and substance abuse care nationwide.
Yes, I like that.
Because we need more of that.
But she doesn't have any kind of healthcare plan?
No universal health care, but a public option to buy into Medicare.
Which is kind of what we have now.
Things. Yeah. Well, it's like you'd be going more out of pocket than your neighbors, let's say, just to get yourself basic health care, but it's probably cheaper than private insurance, but like employer-based insurance would still be a big thing under Amy Klobuchar.
Okay.
Do you know the big argument against employer-based insurance? Are you familiar with it? Because I think it makes a lot of sense.
Well, I mean, I assume it has something to do with people buying into that it's going to be better coverage or something.
Well, it's that if your employer is giving you your health care, that makes it big choice and a hard choice to leave a job that you're unhappy with.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. In fact, your employer that you have some quibbles with them from time to time. Like, if you ever wanted to leave, you'd have to give up. They're actually providing completely subsidized, like, you don't pay anything.
I don't pay anything, right?
The coverage is
unless I'm in poor health, which is interesting.
Right. That was a qualifier when you joined, right?
Right. You have to pass
free healthcare if you're healthy.
Right.
Nice. But it's like high copays, $40 per doctor visit. I mean, that shit adds up.
It does.
Premiums.
And I don't go to the doctor because of it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. That's the problem with our fucking system. You are a case in point. Everyone should get to know you. Okay. So what does Amy Klobuchar believe in besides that? She's kind of on board, like Obamacare and the public option. Like she's almost there, but she would like to accept more legal immigrants into the country and a pathway to citizenship for those that are here. And she wants to reform ICE, not necessarily disband it, but fix it. She has ideas. She would like to actually tax corporations. She's maybe the only one that said that. And $15 an hour is a minimum wage, but her stance is specifically related to federal contractors, not everybody.
That's weird.
Yeah, it's a little weird. Seems like such a very specific pinpoint to make it during a campaign. I'm not sure why.
Right.
She thinks abortion should be safe and rare. She's pro Roe versus Wade. She thinks we can be net zero carbon emissions by 2050. Long way off, but she wants to rejoin Paris. Guns. She is a gun person. She is pro sportsman, but she is anti assault rifles and anti abusers and, red flag laws. She is pro universal background checks, but she comes from a sporting background and knows, her grandpa or whatever. She wants to make sure, like, would this affect my Uncle Gary or whatever his name is? Like, she's pro gun, but with restrictions.
Okay.
She is in favor of free community college, but just community college. She wants to wants the government to offer more Pell Grants, and she also has a family care plan to give up to $300 a month to parents to offset childcare costs.
That's not enough.
No, it's not enough. It's something.
It's something. It's better than nothing,
right?
But it's not enough.
Better than nothing. And in terms of marijuana, she would like to say that if a state legalizes marijuana, she would give them an exemption from federal enforcement. But any states that would like to not legalize marijuana keep federal enforcement as an option. So she's really not in favor of legalizing weed, which I found interesting.
That is kind of
almost
interesting.
Almost everybody is. But she's still okay with feds busting down people's doors and jailing people. As long as the state's okay with it. Yeah, whatever. So what do you think of Amy?
Well, now I'm not so happy.
She's taken hits for being a bad boss.
Oh, really?
Very verbally abusive to her people.
I could see that.
Yeah. But that's not...
She's not the one.
The counter argument has been, like, if a guy was yelling at his people all the time and holding to the same high standards that Amy does, would you be saying this stuff about him? I mean, I probably would. I don't think I would love anyone that, pees on their people.
No, I don't like PP people either.
Yeah, be nice to your subordinates. I mean, if they're that bad, take corrective action or fire them or something, but don't make them dream of quitting, because she's gone through a lot of staff. She is not easy to work for. But she justifies that and says, I have high standards.
I mean...
I don't think it's as bad as what people have said about me, but they're also my former employees. It's just I have high standards, and sometimes I yell. What are you going to do? So, maybe.
Maybe. I don't think she's the one, though.
All right. She's not the one.
She's not the one.
Beto O'Rourke.
He's another young one.
He's kind of younger.
Youngish.
Youngish. Oh, boy. He is a former representative from Texas. He ran for Senate 2 years ago and lost to Ted Cruz.
Ew.
He almost dethroned Ted Cruz in Texas, which made him think he had what it takes to run nationwide. He is in favor. He has a program called Medicare for America, which would allow people to buy into the same plan that government employees get. But he thinks that employer-based insurance should be allowed to stay. So I'm not a fan of his healthcare stance. Immigration, only detain people that are criminals besides the criminally crossing the border, but actual criminals. He wants to overhaul the asylum system, I guess, to make it better. I'm not sure what. And increase refugee resettlement. So allow more refugees in. I like that. He wants to incorporate a wealth tax. He's in favor of that. He is good on abortion, anti-Hyde Amendment, pro-Roe v. Wade, net zero emissions by 2050, rejoin Paris, and he wants to invest federal funds in research and development. So he's another one of those guys that says we can invent solutions to get us out of the problems we're having.
Science.
We just have to spend money and give it to scientists. Yeah. Guns. Texas, big gun state. He is in favor of universal background checks, magazine limits, restricting some semi-automatic weapons like the AR-15. So he's got gun control in mind, but it's really that common sense kind of stuff. He wants to reduce interest rates on student loans and debt forgiveness in exchange for public service. But that's all we got for education on him. And he wants to legalize and expunge marijuana convictions.
I don't think he's the one either.
I don't think he's going to make it.
I think he's
charismatic. I feel like he's got a lot going for him. I just don't think he's ready yet.
Right. He seems like he could use another 10 years.
But I also don't like his healthcare stance. I really want big sweeping changes to healthcare. I'm sick of those fucking dickheads in the insurance companies.
It's not going to happen.
It might. I'm not going to go down a dark path with you. Tim Ryan. I don't need to show you a picture of him because you know him by his crazy eyes.
Oh.
Right?
Yes.
You know what I'm talking about. All right. He is representative from Ohio. He is in favor of Medicare for all. He wants to secure our borders, but be compassionate. He wants to rewrite the tax code to support manufacturing industries and green manufacturing. And a $15 minimum wage. So far, so good. Now, he is pro-choice on abortion, but he did not become pro-choice until 2015.
Was he running for something?
Probably. He thinks that America should lead on new and renewable energy sources, that we should be the leaders of producing electric vehicles, he's big on manufacturing because that's where he's from in Ohio, right? So his platform hinges a lot on that. He wants background checks and an age limit on gun purchases. He used to be very pro-gun. He used to have an A rating from the NRA, but after the Sandy Hook massacre those years ago, he changed his tune, and now he wants reasonable gun control. But he used to be not in favor of gun control. He is in favor of free public colleges, and he wants to legalize marijuana. So why don't we like Tim Ryan? He seems a little crazy.
Yeah.
He seems a little more conservative than I'd like when he talks on the debate stage. His policies look okay on paper, but I feel like on the debate stage, not so much. And he's got big time crazy eyes. Is that okay to judge someone on that?
Well, maybe he's shifty.
I don't know what he is. Do you have anything to say about him?
I don't. He's not.
I think he's almost done.
Right. He's not on the list of contenders.
Well, thanks to the alphabetization, we get to end on 4 heavy hitters. We're almost there.
Yay.
We've gone through 16.
Wow, really? No.
I know.
What?
It's been so much fun. It's been so much fun. That's the thing. Time just flies by. All right. Bernie Sanders. He's a big hitter. Senator from Vermont. And one of the most amazing voices.
Yeah.
All right. So Medicare for all. He's the guy. He's the guy that has been pushing this the hardest of anybody. It is his platform. He has a bunch, but Medicare for all is right at the top, and he's at the forefront of that debate. He wants to reform immigration, but he says, we still have to have borders. You can't take everybody that wants to come here. We got to have some limits, but we can't keep doing what we're doing now. It's not his big stance. His big stance is things like an estate tax, a federal jobs guarantee, $15 an hour minimum wage. He wants to tax the rich and make it work for people. And that'll help pay for Medicare for all, too. He is fine on abortion, anti-high pro-choice, nothing big there. He is a co-sponsor of the Green New Deal. That's AOC's big thing. They are both democratic socialists, so that makes sense. He is for background checks on guns, anti-assault weapons, education. This is his other biggest, key point of his platform. Free public colleges. Cancel all existing student debt. And he will pay for that by taxing stock transactions. That's all you got to do. Anytime someone buys or sells, you take a little piece, you put it in a fund, you pay off people's student loans.
I like it.
Mm-hmm. And universal pre-K for everybody. He wants to decriminalize marijuana at a federal level, but let states decide what they want to do in terms of full legalization. It's good enough. I mean, if you legalize it on a federal level, I don't know that actually changes whether or not states have laws that are opposed to marijuana per se, but decriminalizing it is a big first step to take it off the federal books and say it's not a controlled substance anymore. So what do you think of Bernie?
I think he's old.
Oh, no.
I love Bernie.
Yeah.
I wanted to vote for him last time.
Yep.
But I worry about his health.
He seems to be healthy. He's got a lot of energy and he seems completely sharp mentally. But
whoever's going to be in this, they need to win twice.
You are talking about a potentially 8-year term starting in 2021 with the inauguration. So
the person that wins needs to be in for 2 terms in order to make their changes.
How old is he now? 75,
7,
76?
I believe.
77? So he'd be in his late 80s by the time he's done with an 8-year term as president. That is very old. He's bound to have some health problems eventually. But he is... I mean, look, policy-wise, he's pretty much everything I want. There are some things I haven't always agreed with him on. Like, he was in favor of labeling GMOs. Like mandatory labeling for anything that has a GMO in it, which I just find
it would have to say bullshit. Contains GMOs.
Weird. It's like weird fear-mongering, anti-science kind of nonsense on that. But I'm with him on almost everything. But if he's not the man, he has at least served a valuable role. Like if you compare the debates of 2016 to now, everything has shifted so far left because of him and his popularity. So whether or not he becomes president, I think his impact will be felt forever for the rest of our lifetime.
That's pretty impressive.
Yeah. So
good for Bernie.
I'll be happy to vote for him when the primary comes around. We'll see who's left in the field. Another strong contender is Elizabeth Warren, senator from Massachusetts. So what do you think of her? She's for Medicare for all. She wants to decriminalize border crossings, accept more refugees, and restructure ICE. She wants to put a wealth tax in. 2% on anything over $50 million that you have in your bank. Just a wealth tax on that. And use that to pay for college and Medicare, I imagine. Because it will generate billions and billions of dollars. She wants to incorporate more funding for family planning programs on a federal level. She wants to put money into research and development for green manufacturing plans. From a climate change perspective. She wants a national gun license program, free college for all, abolish most, not quite all, but most student loan debt, and she wants to subsidize daycare costs. That would be a big help for parents. And nationwide legalization of marijuana. Now, what do you think of Liz?
What does subsidized childcare look like?
Well, I think it would be similar to the Klobuchar plan. Was it Klobuchar that would give you a check?
You just get extra.
Yeah, that was Klobuchar. So yeah, like you wouldn't have to pay as much for daycare as you pay now because the government would help out. But that's specifically for daycare. Klobuchar would just send you a check for whatever you need. Whereas Warren would want to incorporate a plan where daycare costs less because it sucks. What do you think of her overall? Whether it's these
I like her. Policies. She's a little bit too... not emotional, but she gets riled up quickly.
I think I like her riled up. I think her voice is so like nicey nice. She's got a very, I don't know what that accent is. I'm not sure where she's from off the top of my head, but she's got an interesting accent, like an interesting way of speaking. But I like it when she gets fired up. I think she's got good passion.
She does have good passion.
She has a long history of being pro like consumer, like protecting people from the evils of the world. She calls herself a corporatist. But she wants to regulate industries and she wants to...
I like everything that she has to say.
Socialize medicine. Yeah.
I like it. Who's going to be able to make the change?
Well, not her if she's president. We need her to set the direction in Congress to help. But yeah. I mean, that's going to be a problem with anybody.
I know, but so that's why that person has to be so strong.
All right. That's true. That's true. You don't think she's strong enough?
I don't think she's...
I'm not sure that you've really thought anyone was strong enough yet, except maybe Superman Jay Inslee.
Well, Bernie might be strong enough.
Bernie might be strong enough, but you think he's too old.
Right.
Okay. Kamala? Kamala's strong enough.
Did we talk about her? No, she's bitchy.
Right, but...
I don't think people are going to want to listen to her.
You think she's bitchy, but she will take a strong stance and hold your feet to the fire.
Yeah, I don't know.
All right. Marianne Williamson.
Oh my God, please.
Author, not a politician by trade. All right, here we go. We got Medicare for all. We've got path to citizenship for immigrants. And she wants the borders to be borders. She says electronic surveillance and like a reduction in ICE, I think, but still keeping an eye on things. One of her biggest parts of her platform is reparations, which a lot of people have stances on, but she's really leading the charge on reparations for slavery.
Right.
She wants to increase taxes on the wealthy. She wants an estate tax, again, which will only really hurt the wealthy, and tax cuts for middle class. In big, bold capital letters on her website, she is 100% pro-choice on abortion. She wants more than just the Green New Deal and the Paris Climate Accord. She has plans for reforesting, for fixing the wetlands. She to really get nature back in business to help protect us from all this carbon we spit out. And she says we have to act by 2030. Like, we got to get all this stuff done. Very anti-gun. Background checks, waiting periods. She's the only one that says waiting periods. Banning assault weapons, banning semi-automatic weapons, banning bump stocks, banning large magazines, expanding red flag laws. She wants peace. She doesn't want guns. She wants to set up a Department of Peace because we have departments of war. We're all about conflict in America, but she wants to set up a Department of Peace.
She's all about love.
She is all about love. She is universal pre-K, mental health care for children, paid family leave, mindfulness training in schools. She wants to legalize marijuana, and she wants to put the hammer down on opioid manufacturers in return. I mean,
I like everything that she has to say, but she says it weird. Right. She says it weird. She's a little cray-cray.
Do we have time to talk about your history with Marianne Williamson?
I don't have a history with her.
You brought home a book or two of hers once that someone at work gave you.
Right.
I know who she is because of you.
Yeah. Right. She's a little crazy.
Yeah.
She's very,
Did you ever read her books?
No. I mean, I tried.
Okay.
But she's not my cup of tea.
I think she's sort of right on all the issues, but she's hard to digest because
she won't make any.
She'll talk and she'll say something great, and then she'll say something that just seems kind of UFO weird.
Yes.
Plus, she's got some not great stances on vaccinations. She was just on Bill Maher. She came down against antidepressants that they're overprescribed, which there's probably situations where they are, but you can't just go start saying that because a lot of people need them.
Yeah.
Yeah. So her, she's a beautiful hippie. I'm sure she's got a lot to offer the world, but
not in this. This is not her path to.
I do like, though, she doesn't mind speaking her mind. She has some strong words and she does get fired up about stuff. I think she'd be an interesting Trump opponent. I just don't think she's going to make it that far.
No.
She's a little too weird.
She's a little too weird. And can you imagine her sitting with Kim Jong-un or Putin?
Well, I don't think she'd have time for that. But
somebody's going to have to. Somebody's going to have to give them our stance.
Yeah.
They're going to have to put their foot down and say, get the fuck out.
If she made it to the presidency, I think we'd be okay. I think she'd do a lot of good things. She'd put a lot of good policies in place. But I don't think she's going to make it.
No.
I don't think so.
She's not the one.
The last one, alphabetically, Andrew Yang. He also seems like a big long shot. But he's another guy where I really like everything he has to say. I just think people have a hard time digesting it.
Yeah, the $1,000 a month.
That's his big platform.
Right.
Now,
I don't see that happening.
I've thought about this a lot. And I do feel like, even though it seems like he's spending a little too much time talking about $1,000 per month, his freedom dividend, I hate that name, by the way. Just call it UBI, Universal Basic Income. I'm cool with that. But freedom dividend just sounds cheesy and political. I do think, though, that if you threw everyone a bunch of money, it would solve a lot of different problems kind of all at once. It would solve healthcare costs. It would solve housing problems. It would solve...
What's his stance on healthcare?
It would solve pre-K or daycare issues. Like, it would solve a lot of things in its own special way, right? But, plus he's in favor of Medicare for all. He wants to strengthen our borders, but give a path to citizenship for people that are here. His big platform is the UBI, $1,000 a month.
So,
yes,
that $1,000 a month is not going to have to go for healthcare.
No, that would be separate. I mean, it's Medicare for all, so it would be, you would have higher taxes but lower employer-based healthcare costs. But then you get every adult would get $1,000 a month.
I mean, he seems like a good guy.
For us, that'd be $2,000 a month.
That would be a
fuck ton.
I mean, that's a fuck ton
That'd
of money.
A game changer,
right,
as he calls it. And his feeling, and I think it's true, is that most of that money would go straight back into the economy. So it would pay for itself in terms of economic growth and economic stimulus. It would pay for itself. And if you make corporations pay taxes, then the money that they make off of the UBI would come again back into the government a little bit. He wants to tax capital gains and carried interest. I don't know what that is really, but he wants to tax the rich, make things better there. Universal access to abortion, climate change. He's in favor of the Paris Accords and all that stuff, but he also has plans for large-scale geoengineering. And he wants to tax emissions, like a carbon tax kind of thing. So I think the geoengineering, he kind of alluded to that, like people need to start moving to higher ground. Like he wants to find new solutions to problems besides just trying to reduce carbon, because in some ways it's too late and the effects are already here. So he wants to find new ways to engineer us out of it. It's fascinating. Background checks, gun locks, forced gun training, and tiered licensing. Like based on the type of guns you want to own, you have to get different licenses and different trainings.
I like that.
Yeah, I do like that. Free community college and vocational schools, 9 months paid family leave.
Ooh.
And legalizing marijuana. So that's Andrew Yang in a nutshell. What do you think of him as a person?
He seems like a nice guy.
I like him. It's hard to not like him. He talks about the $1,000 a month a little too much. And it reminds me of George Bush, who tried to buy and succeeded in buying people's votes by saying, if you reelect me, you're going to get a check. And it was like $500 to everybody. Everybody got $500 in the mail. And then you had to pay it back like a few years later. Yeah, it wasn't a refund. It was like a rebate or a advance or something like that on your taxes. But it's sort of like George Bush was buying votes there. And it kind of feels like that's part of Andrew Yang's thing. It feels like it's almost disingenuous.
And how is he going to make that happen?
What?
The $1,000 a month.
Well, I think you still have to pass legislation to make it happen.
Right.
Yeah.
So it doesn't matter.
But it's his platform. Again, like they always say, like the first 100 days of a presidency, like Congress lets you do most of what you want because the people have said, we elect this person because of their platform. We believe in them.
So you got like 100 days to make it happen.
The first 100 days is key to start putting your plans into place. It's not a guarantee that Congress will let you do whatever you want. Mitch McConnell, certainly. But, hey, look, again, he's up for re-election this year. Hopefully he gets out. But it's your best shot. It's your time. It's when Congress really gives you a chance. So if he gets into office and the main core of his platform is UBI, I think Congress is duty bound to let him implement it.
Okay.
More or less.
Good news.
Yeah. I think he's on the right side of all the issues. It's just, as long as the financials work out, which is not my area. If the financials work out for him putting in UBI and Medicare for all, I think it would be a great direction for our country to go in. And he seems like a nice guy. Mm-hmm. Very likable. Is he strong? Does he fit your strength marks?
I don't feel like I saw him be that strong, but then again, he wasn't one of the main focus.
He didn't get a lot of time.
Right.
Yeah.
So I'd like to see more of what he has to say.
Yeah.
Maybe in different circumstances.
I could point you to some interviews if you want. You can listen to them, but
yeah,
we'll see. He might make the third debate. Was he on the list? I don't think he was on the list, but I think he's close.
Is there a list?
I read it to you earlier. The people that qualified for the third debate already.
Who was it?
Oh, fuck, I'm not.
You didn't read it to me.
Just rewind the podcast.
All right.
Because we've been going a long time. We made it through all 20 candidates.
That's impossible.
Do you have a favorite, do you think?
I think my favorite is Inslee guy.
Jay Inslee.
Although Bernie, yeah, I don't know. I like them both.
I love Bernie. I might dare to be different and just say Elizabeth Warren because they have almost the same platform.
They do.
And I do find her very likable. She's younger. And I think she might have an easier time with the establishment part of the politics because Bernie's such an outsider. Yeah, I think there's a lot to like.
Maybe he could be her vice president.
Oh, I would love to see that as a ticket. And they aren't going after each other, partially because they have the same platform and partially because they're friends. Mm-hmm. That'd be a hell of a ticket. I
still think Tom Hanks and The Rock.
That would also be great.
Totally win.
Yeah.
Well, maybe next time.
Maybe we'll get there. We might still get there. Yeah.
It's a shitty job, but somebody's got to do it.
So there we go, everybody. We summarized 20 candidates in just over an hour and a half.
Good job.
Good on
Well,
us.
we can cut some out with our bloopers.
Oh, I don't have time for that. But as the field narrows, so far only Eric Swalwell has dropped out.
I don't even know who that is.
Right. As the field narrows, we'll be able to have an easier time parsing through their stuff. We'll go into some more detail on the remaining candidates. So we'll see how things pan out between now and September, when we should see some people give up the goat, or whatever it's called. Is that the phrase? Give up the something?
I don't know.
All right. Well, for now, that's all we got. So again, whatever we missed, whatever your opinions are, we would like to hear from you. Reach out to us, thekidfreeweekend@gmail.com.
Kidfreeweekend at Kidfreeweekend on Twitter.
Right? And at Pod of Thrones on Twitter for me. It's up to you if you want to talk to Jennifer or me or both of us, but we're happy to talk to anybody and everybody, and happy to, if you want to talk about it on the show, let us know. Because we want to talk to people that are going to vote blue no matter who.
Well, anybody that, I mean, if you want to talk to a Republican.
Look, if you're a Republican and you want to talk about these candidates, that's fine with me too. Reach out. Let's have a discussion. And maybe you're a Republican, but you don't love Trump. Who would you vote for? Who would repulse you from the Democratic field? That would be interesting. Mm-hmm. Let us know. Reach out. You can do it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Our Taekwondo class. We'll have to do an episode where we talk about that.
Yeah.
All right. That's enough for now. We got to go. It's time for bed.
Okay. Good night, everybody.
Good night.